What if you could create more kindness in the world just by being you? Everyone has the potential to create and receive more kindness. What if kindness is more than being nice and compassionate to others? Have you ever considered what having more kindness for you could create in your life? Get ready to learn how the energy of kindness is integral to reducing stress in your life and how it can assist in healing your body. Now, here is the host of Cultivating Kindness with Karen, facilitator of healing, Karen Leslie.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am excited to be sharing another episode of Cultivating Kindness with Karen with you here on the Inspired Choices Network, right? What a great place to be hanging out together. And boy, we have a really interesting show today. And I'm curious as to how it's all going to go. I really am. I'm bringing to you a topic that I have struggled with in a number of different ways. And I also know that how I have experienced this will be very different from a number of people around the world, let alone in the same city or province that I live in here in Canada. It's a unique personal experience. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about fear. So we're going to work with and look at today, working with the energy called fear. And I phrased it that way very deliberately, okay? Working with the energy called fear. So thank you for being here with me. I really encourage those of you who are watching me live, wherever that might be, come on over to the Inspired Choices Network /chat room and join me in the chat room, because I would love to hear your perspective on some of the things I'm going to share with you today. So take a moment, come across. You can click the little tab to the left when you join in the chat room that says Zoom on it, and you can come in and watch and have a conversation with me, and let's see what we can do together about changing this energy that we've come to call fear. Now, just the idea of the word fear, thinking about fear, it may take you back to personal experiences with fear. And if that's the case, then I truly encourage you to come into the chat room. Because if you're struggling, if this is bringing up potentially some difficulties for you, then hop on and I'll help you as we go through the show. All right? There's my promise to you. Come on in and I will help you as we move through, because the topic may be challenging. And I hesitated to do a show on this, but I was really pushed from the inside of myself to do this show. So it's for you and it is also for me. So together we can work with this. Now, all of you, everybody, like I truly believe everybody around the world has had some form of experience with what they call fear. As I said, it's going to be very different for all of us. Now, I have not experienced fear from the perspective of like truly life-threatening fear, as what many people, millions of people around the world are currently experiencing or have experienced in the past. I would think the closest, it's not even close, but I think one memory I have of when I was very fearful was in a car accident. I was only 16 and I was driving with my family from the province of Manitoba back to our home in Ontario in Canada. And we got cut off by a transport truck, actually. And so I, swerved, spun the car around a couple of times. I remember sort of like literally seeing the pavement because the car angled so much. And then we ended up backwards sitting in a ditch. That was full of fear, no question about it. And for a long time, I carried that fear with me when I was driving. I was very nervous around trucks and, understandably. Now, what was not helpful for me, and this is partly what I think we're going to get into, I wasn't planning this, but is people, they encouraged me holding on to that fear in kind of a strange way. Like there would be this talk of like, you'll get over it. Don't worry about it. It'll pass. You'll be fine. Now, what my dad did do, which was good, is he made me get in the car right away. Once we were towed and it had been repaired and everything, I was the first driver back in the car. And I do appreciate that he did that for me instead of me spending the rest of the trip back to our home, which would have been another day and a half, sitting in the back seat. So that was good. However, there were comments about, and even some therapists that I saw later in life that had me relive this. And as I said, I can still see that pavement and the gravel as the car spun, but it doesn't have that same response. It doesn't trigger anything in me that brings up any energy of fear anymore. This is, also tied into post-traumatic stress disorder and a number of other things, which I'm truly not going to get into today. Perhaps on another show, we can look at that in more depth. But I want to look at just sort of in general, that energy of fear. So we've all had our own experiences of it, no question about it. And we've all dealt with it in very different ways. Some of you will have been quite successful in moving through it. It doesn't mean you bury it. It doesn't mean you forget it. It means you do the work around it. So like myself, when I think about that accident, I no longer I'm concerned about getting in a car and driving. I no longer start to sweat or have my heart rate change or anything like that when I go through the step-by-step of what happened. Because I still have that visual memory of it in my mind. There's a saying, right? Once you see it. Or what is it? No, I can't unsee that. It's what people will often say. And there's some validity to that statement. But you can still see the gravel moving by you. You can still hear the sound of the tires and not go into that same physical response. And that's where I would love to help you get to with other areas in your life that have done something similar and you kind of locked into that a little bit, right? So I was saying that often that fear I had was sort of reinforced in me. Yes, reviewing it over and over again. I did have some dreams that reinforced it as well. Sure, was able to work through those and change those. And then how people were when they got in the car with me unconsciously brought energy to me as well, especially my mom. She was very nervous driving with me for a long time. I did nothing wrong, but it didn't matter. She was very nervous driving with me, and I get that. I totally understand that, was never upset with her, but it helped hold it in place for me, because then I was going into more judgment of myself, that I had done something incorrectly and that I had caused the accident. So there's these subtle things going around that often we don't pay attention to. And there's also that side of people may tease somebody about not liking a certain event, like a scary movie, those horror movies. I was just talking with Kim, my producer, just before we came live on the show, and we were both like, no, like I'm not a fan of horror movies, not at all. And I've had different people explain reasons to me why that might be, but then I've also had a lot of ribbing. Like, Karen, it's a movie. Karen, it's a show. Like, it's not real. Well, to me, in those moments, even though there's a logical part of me that says, yeah, I know that's makeup, that's, practiced, rehearsed for this. Like, I get that. But I still can get emotionally tied into it and get fearful and not enjoy them at all. The teasing doesn't help. The teasing actually makes me feel a little worse and actually makes me a little more uncomfortable when I start to see or watch something like that, because I'm worried about other people's response to my reaction to what might be on the TV or the movie screen. Well, it won't be on a movie screen because I will not go to a horror movie. So we become very aware of so many things, and there's so much involved in this, which is why I'm saying working with the energy of fear, because that's all it is. It's an energy. And if you've been following me and you've been in a number of my shows, or you have been, following me on any of the social media platforms, you will know that I talk about energy all the time. And fear is just an energy, and every type of energy can be changed without exception. Energy can always be changed, right? Remember, energy is never, ever going to be stagnant, still, frozen in time. No, it cannot. It goes beyond, like, it's just physically impossible for that to happen. So that's the good news. Fear is just an energy, and energy can always be changed. So what can you do to shift this energy of fear that you're very aware of, and it's perhaps very uncomfortable for you? So how do you get out of it? This is what we're going to go through in more detail on the show today, all right? How to get out of this, how to change this. But it's really key to understand that it's your perception and it's your understanding of this energy that we really need to work with. So right off the bat, I want to also remind everybody, and I have said this before too, our body's physical response, the symptoms that we will be receiving, sweating, shaking, our heart rate increasing, maybe heart palpitations, dry mouth, like nausea or butterflies in your stomach, any of these things like this, they will come up when we are presented with fear. They will come up during anxiety or an anxiety attack. And the exact same things can come up when we are excited. All of those, we've given 3 different labels to the exact same physiological response. Sweaty palms, whatever it might be for you. And then it's your mind that says, oh, hey, Karen, you're experiencing ABC. You must be fearful of something. Maybe I'm not. It's going to be my job to differentiate, to know what it is I'm experiencing, even though I've got the exact same symptoms for different labels that my mind will give me, saying, this is what you're experiencing. So how do you do that? Okay, we're going to talk about that as well. It's really important that we learn how to distinguish and discern what is happening in our body. When our body changes and something shifts and you're aware of something that has changed, then look into it. Just pause, just for a moment. Check in. What caused that change? Did you pick up energetically that there is actually some danger ahead? We can do that. Or did you pick up on other people's anxiety around you and your body has internalized what you're aware of? We can do that as well. Or did you think about something that's about to happen or could happen in the future that literally just lit you up and triggered all of those same responses? That also can happen. All right. We're going to figure this all out together. We're coming up to our first break now. So thank you so much for being here with me on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Of course, I'm Karen Leslie, your host, and I would love for you to get in touch with me at any time that you would like, perhaps with comments on my shows, like them, share them. That it does so much for encouraging myself to keep creating and showing up for you every week. Or you can get in touch and say, hey, this is a topic I'm really interested in. Would you talk about it? And it could become a show. That would be amazing. You can send me an email, Karen@KarenLeslie.ca, and it's LESLIE for the name Leslie. So don't go away. We're going to be back after just a couple of minutes. We've got just a few things for you to listen to. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about discernment and then how to change that energy of fear. All right, we'll be right with you in a couple of minutes.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad I didn't scare you away. I'm glad you're here to join me in this really interesting conversation about, working with the energy called fear. And during our break, I thought of one more way that my body has of using those same physiological symptoms that we talked about before the break. The sweating, the maybe palm sweating or things like that, heart rate going up. And for those of you that are really very energy sensitive, there's so many words we could choose to use. I mean, it's a label, but an empath or whatever, right? Sometimes when our bodies are aware of energies and they're coming in and we're working with them, or if you're very intuitive and you're checking in with different energies around, that's also a time that you can be experiencing those same set of physiological responses. My body does that a lot. My clients will know, I often have layers with me. Sometimes my body will go very cold, but often it goes really hot and I will perspire. I will start to sweat as well as yawn or cry or do other things that may happen, or itchy nose and things. But I will get those other responses that for a long time, I was like, why am I so nervous? And what really brought it to my attention was when I started my show. And I would be like, maybe this is too much information, but I'd be soaking wet, perspiring so much by the time I was done my show. And I'm thinking, but I'm not that nervous. Like, I'm not afraid of this. Like, what's going on? And then I clued in that I tap into those of you who are watching. And sometimes, depending on what I say and depending on your response, I will be processing the energy. And for some of you, I actually may start to try and work with you to help you with it. And so that heats up my body. But I was in so much judgment and went to, am I really that afraid of doing this? And the answer was no. It kept getting no, no. Now, sometimes before I start the show, that will happen as well. Part of that is tapping into who's going to tune in. And part of it is just the excitement of the energies coming in for what I want to be sharing with you. So there's many reasons our body will respond in this way. Yet we're taught from tiny, tiny little children that this is fear. This is being nervous. This is being anxious. Right? Everyone, I'm sure, everybody, at some point when you were little, you had a grown-up or an older sibling or somebody with you that was taking care of you. And you were about to do something that could make you nervous or fearful. Perhaps getting on a ride at an amusement park, or maybe walking over a bridge that maybe moved or swayed, or walking on a dock that moves in the water, or perhaps you're going to go tobogganing or sand sledding, whatever you happen to have, and you're at the top of the hill, and somebody lovingly and kindly says, don't be afraid, or are you nervous? Or maybe you hear squeals coming out of other children nearby that are taking part in what you're about to do. And your mind goes, oh, are they scared? And it's reinforced that those physical symptoms, because now your mind's going to go, okay, let's check in. And the brain's going, yeah, we're experiencing this, this, and this. And people are saying, don't be nervous or don't be afraid. And it gets labeled for you. And it's reinforced over and over and over again. So that number one file that's going to come forward as soon as your body is exhibiting those physical symptoms, and you don't need all of them, you just need one or two. And that file is going to say, fear. Oh, anxiety. Whatever the word is, it's going to be like, warning, warning. And yet, chances are high, really high, that you were that little person who was so excited about what you were going to get to do. You finally got permission that you could go on the ride. You were finally tall enough, or whatever it might be. And then you get told that that's fear. We grow up with that. It gets reinforced throughout our life, time and time again. Fear of speaking. Fear of public speaking. What if you start to sweat? And what if your heart is racing faster? Because you are so excited deep down that you get to share something that's really important to you. And there's people actually interested in it, and they're sitting there to hear you. But we label it as fear. What if it's not? What if you are just excited? Now, there's going to be a group of you that you actually are really afraid. You are fearful of doing things. And so let's look at that. What can we do to change this? So I asked in Facebook a few days ago. Sometimes I'll do this before a show. I'll put something in Facebook and say, what do these words mean to you? Or what comes up to you when I say? So I asked about people like, so what does the energy of fear mean to you? And I got some really interesting answers from people. Most of them actually kind of knew where I was coming from. So it was interesting, and it was fun. People were saying, like it can be giving in, it can be causing limitations, it could be like, diving into a rabbit hole because you just keep going around and round to get deeper into it. It can happen. Some were saying, oh, this is something that you learn throughout your life. Others were saying, it's a lie. Others were saying it comes in for protection. It will freeze you. Right? It brings in constrictions. And what all of these different responses have in common is they're all based on that individual person's perspective, based on their belief. That's all it is. And what I'm sharing with you today is my belief on what the energy of fear is and how we can work with it and change it. But it all comes down to what you have been believing. Are you willing to look at it differently? Key. And are you willing to change that belief, alter it, modify it, or throw it right out and start all over again with what feels right for you? Your choice. None of those options are right or wrong. But I want you to know you have that option. I want you to know that a belief is only something there that you've held on to because your brain, the reticular activating system in your brain, has gone around, seeked out all kinds of evidence to support that belief. So you'll believe it stronger, more, and forever and ever. You have looked for validation, confirmation that this is true throughout years, decades. But that doesn't mean it's true, because your science experiment was only one-sided. You were only willing to look at what lined up with you and what matched. Anything that didn't match, you disregarded it. It went out. It wasn't even brought to your attention. So you didn't even get the option to question. I'm inviting you to question. I'm inviting you to look at it differently. If we are living through the perspectives, perceptions, beliefs of another person, which is what we all do until we change it, 100% when we're little, then we're living life through their eyes, through their experiences, through their beliefs, not our own. Fear is no different. This energy, we react the way we do based on information we've been given. Your perspective on it is guiding you. Your experiences are guiding you. And we tend to really only focus on and remember the ones that come through often, right? Those files that are at the front of the brain are the ones that we think all the time because they're given to us over and over and over again. But if you pause and think about that little person who was going to do something for the first time, maybe that ride at an amusement park, maybe you were just excited. And you can shift how you look at something now. That gives you the empowerment to shift the energy of fear. So it doesn't have to be limiting, freezing, a lie, all those other words that I shared with you. It gives you the ability to decide for yourself what it means. And then you are living true or truer to who you are, and less at the effect of another person's beliefs. That was a lot. Okay, we're going to go to a break now. You can mull that around a little bit if you want. It may have been a lot of information. That's cool. We'll carry on talking about it when we come back. we'll simplify it out a little bit more, and I'll give you some tools. So come back after this break, listen to the commercials we've got, and then come back and let's practice changing the energy of fear together. All right. So if you're watching and you want to come over into the chat room and share, please do so. And thank you, as always, for being here with me on the Inspired Choices Network for Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Don't go away. We'll be right back, everyone.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. As you just heard, we're super easy to find the app that we have for Inspired Choices Network, but we're also super easy to find all of our podcasts and all of our shows, whether you're listening live or you're listening to all of the recordings we have. We have thousands. When you go back with all the hosts we have, and some of our hosts have been on Inspired Choices Network for like 8-9 years. So think of how many shows they have. I'm coming up to my 1 year in December, which is really exciting. And you can find all of our shows, like anywhere you love to listen to podcasts. Just put in the search, Cultivating Kindness with Karen. And there I'll be. We're on like 450 different platforms around. So no excuses for saying you can't find anything on the Inspired Choices Network, because we are everywhere. All right. So now, fear. So you don't have to be fearful about not finding me. All right, let's look at this. It's really important that you be open to changing your perspective on it. Changing your perspective on the energy of fear does not mean you will not know if there's something around the corner that you need to be fearful or cautious or wary of. It doesn't take away your ability to tap in and know what's going on around you. It will not take away your ability of checking energetically around you for those who do that. But what I want to show you and work with you is how to discern and then how to change this so that you don't get caught in or trapped in the energy of fear. Now, does this mean that I'm going to be watching horror movies anytime soon? Probably not. Just a choice. Could I get myself to the place where I could watch them without reacting that way? You know, I get a yes. I totally could do that, but I'm not interested in doing it. And that's fine. For where you do wish to change your reaction and response to fear, I've got in the chat room, not at all, exclamation point. So somebody's with me. No, we're not going into the horror movie area. But the areas that we do experience fear in, we can totally change those. One of the things that is very key, all right, is that you need to be present. You need to be aware of what's going on within your body and in your energetic field. Now, that may sound really woo-woo and non-scientific and garbage. However, if you've been listening to my shows now for like 11 months, or if you've just found me now, you really understand that I am very much of the energetic and woo-woo world. So I don't think I'm speaking to many people here right now that think that that is crazy talk. When you're present, you have greater access to understanding what is changing in your body and what your body's telling you, because it is speaking to you. It gives you these physical responses. It gives you that change and how your body is feeling with a message. Now, it's your job to pause and check in to get information about what that message is. There's so many ways that we can be doing this. To do the pause and to check in, often for many people, just taking a couple of deep breaths and exhaling. Sometimes the mouth can be more effective than the nose, can be really helpful. For some as well, putting your hand over your belly button and over on your chest as you're doing that breathing can be really helpful as well. Just center yourself a little bit so you can check in. All right, body. Okay, talk to it. Ask it a question. What's going on? One of the first things that I ask is what I'm feeling or is what I'm aware of mine? Am I aware of what's going on around me? Am I aware of how others are feeling? We will often get an answer of yes to that. And this may take you a little practice to figure out your body's answer to you as what is a yes and what is a no. And it's so worth spending the time to do that. But just asking one of those questions or any question will help. When we make a statement like, oh, I'm so afraid, or oh, I'm anxious again, you lock that in. A statement like that locks in the energy with you. When you ask a question, hey, what's going on? Why am I feeling like this? Although you know I don't love the word why. What just changed? When you ask a question, right from that true place of curiosity, you shift the energy. You help open it up to unlock previous statements. So then you can work with it. That's really key. A question will change or open up the energy for you. Okay? A statement locks that energy in place. This is why I shouldn't be saying, really, I'm never going to watch horror movies, because I just lock that into place. Instead of saying, I wonder if one day I might like to watch one. My body's still giving me a no, but it makes me pause and gives me the option to look at it. It gives me the option to look behind what is it that I am holding on to or refusing to look at about a horror movie. This is where the inner work comes in. What has locked me into that so strongly that currently I'm not willing to change? So when you become aware of something and that change in your body, ask, okay, what just changed? What am I aware of that I maybe wasn't aware of just 10 seconds ago? And that will help you. There's a command statement that I use a lot. It's one of my top tools I go to. And it works with the energy all around us. In the command statement, it refers to the energy as light matrix. Now, some of you may have heard this before. The command is light matrix, clear, cancel, transmute this. Light matrix, clear, cancel, transmute this. Now, the word this refers to whatever it is you're experiencing in your body. Energetically, we'll understand that. Now, you can also explain or use words to describe it. Light matrix, clear, cancel, transmute this fear. Light matrix, clear, cancel, transmute this frozen state I'm in. And you repeat it a couple of times. And you be with it, and you let the energy do its job. Don't go into how, doesn't matter. It's a command. You can shift the energy by using that command. You can take it one step further if you want as well. Light matrix, clear, cancel, and transmute this feeling of fear into calmness, peacefulness, safety, or whatever words you want afterwards. I tend to work in threes. You don't have to, but you can give the energies that you want to be brought into you. Right? So once again, light matrix, clear, cancel, transmute this feeling of fear into peacefulness, tranquility, and safety, or clarity, whatever you want. And repeat. You might need to repeat it again. In addition, moving your body, getting up, moving around, or holding things, touching something, right? I mean, I have my phone here to touch something, to draw attention to doing something else can be really helpful at the same time as well. And then once you've got things calmed down a little bit more, and you can be more present, that gives you more of an opportunity to find out, like, what's going on? Like, is there something here that I actually need to be afraid of? Am I in danger? Is there harm coming towards me? Majority of the time, for most people, the answer will be no. Of course, there are going to be circumstances and times where it will be a yes for you. Most of the time, it's the mind giving us a label based on past information. I'm not even going to use the word fact, just past information. So when you understand and you get to that belief within yourself that, okay, I'm okay, now you can shift it even further. What would you like to be feeling? And how do you want to label this, right? Let's create some new neural pathways. Remind yourself, okay, so when I'm feeling this, when I start to sweat, or when my heart rate starts to go up, or when I get shaky, it means, and fill it in. Bring in that new awareness, build that new way of thinking about it. The more you build that new cognitive pattern of thinking, the more you are going to be able to break apart the old label of fear and how it was impacting you. Practice, practice, practice. Right? Use the questions. Be present. Find out what it is that works for you to become calmer and more centered so that you can use your discernment and look at it from your perspective, your eyes, your thoughts, and as best as you can, really try to not go into the beliefs and the thought patterns that had been given to you by others for so many years. All right, I've got a couple of other things that we can do, but I'm going to Hey, we have to go to a break now. So we'll wrap all this up when we come back. So thank you so much for being here with me on Cultivating Kindness with Karen on the Inspired Choices Network. We've been talking about working with the energy called fear. So when we come back after our break, we'll wrap this up together so that you will leave, I'm hoping, my desire is, by the end of the show, knowing that you can change that energy called fear anytime you desire to. All right, don't go away. We'll be back just in a couple of minutes.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We are in our final segment. As always, right? Time goes so quickly because there's so much to share and to chat about together. So this whole idea of fear being an energy. Now, energy's real. Fear at times will be real. Majority of the time, though, that energy that we've labeled or called fear will be inaccurate. It will not be real. Your life will not be in danger. There is not something waiting around the corner to truly harm you. It's our perception. It's our past programming. It's all of those beliefs that have been handed down to us very lovingly, trying to help us, to teach us. But truly, it backfires. It backfires. It keeps us in this constant holding pattern where we limit our life. We won't do things because we start to have those body symptoms, those physical responses. And we think, oh, okay, no, that's not meant for me. I'm not supposed to do that. No, I know that when my heart rate really goes up and I start to overheat, that this means that this is a no, I can't do that. Well, what if that's total crap? What if that is just conditioning that you have given yourself? Like I said in the very first segment, what if those physical symptoms are a response for excitement, for something that you're looking forward to doing, to something new? It's so important that we learn how to work with this energy called fear because it keeps us limited. That was one of the words people use that I shared with you, I think, in the second segment, right? It will stop us from expanding certain areas of our life, our living. It will keep us in the same patterns that we are used to doing. And as a result, we reinforce staying there. We reinforce hiding from ourselves. Because we need to look at ourselves honestly, truthfully, and with vulnerability. Because it takes, from my perspective, vulnerability to look at something that you have firmly believed in. Give yourself permission to say, oh, maybe that's not correct for me anymore. Maybe that was never correct for me. And then work with it. Look at it. Break it apart. And find out what is correct for you. That can be a big job. And there's many people on this planet, including myself, who are really great at helping you with that step. Helping you to learn what is correct for yourself. Helping you to understand what is a belief that works for you and what are the ones you've just been carrying around with you forever that are not helpful. Maybe they never were, but they certainly aren't helpful with where you're at now, with who you are, with where you are in your life. But they're keeping you in that same spot. This is one of the reasons that we become dissatisfied with how we're living, dissatisfied with ourselves, unhappy, bored. Boredom's a big one for me. It's all of this energy and this belief we have in this energy that we've called fear that has impacted us from so many different directions and in so many different ways that here's our result now. Where we are now, how we're living in this moment is a result of all of that from when you were first born to whatever age you are today. And I've got a lot of those years and I have changed so much. I was not going to continue the way I was. Truthfully, and many of you will know this, if I had stayed in that pattern and place that I was, I would have left. I would have taken my life and I wouldn't be here now. But learning about energy, understanding belief patterns, understanding so much of this gave me my life back. It showed me that there was actually something here to live for, and that I wasn't such an awful person who was harming the lives of my children. What is available to you if you take over and command to change this energy that we've called fear? What is available to you is truly only limited by your imagination and your desire to expand, explore, and live. It is my deep desire that none of you continue, including myself, to live governed by, ruled by that energy we call fear. It's not real, vast majority of the time. And when you understand it, you will be able to discern when it is and when it is anything else that we've talked about throughout this whole episode. So if you just tuned in the last minute here, awesome, thank you. But truly go back to the beginning so you can understand how fear is just an energy. It's something we've called fear. So that brings me into what we've got next week. Our show is going to be called What is Behind the Labels? It will be quite different than what we've talked about today. So tune in, because I think you'll find it very interesting, especially if you listen to this one and you join me next week. You will open up so much for you. It may be a little mind-blowing. It may be kind of mind-bending and confusing with having to look at something in a new perspective, but it's so worth it. So please join me next week here on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. And let's expand our lives together. Let's step into these new energies and these new way of looking at things so that together we create a life that we love. My favorite thing to do with my clients, help you create the life you love. And remember, everything you do from the neck up helps you from the neck down. Every thought you have that you change affects your whole body. It's not just a thought. It is a thought that is holding you in a specific place. So until then, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Karen Leslie returns Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can find Karen at KarenLeslie.ca and follow her on social media. Until next Wednesday, Karen is sending you waves of kindness for a fabulous week. Remember, it's only you who has the power to be and receive the kindness required to change your life.